this is getting so frustrating. How much more can we take? We're erupting like volcanoes, blowing ashes in our face. We need change. Like a baby, you hear the crying. We need change. Like a flat that's on your tire. Baby, we just need some air, a little bit of space, some time to think it over. Maybe that can help erase all the pain we've made. Let us change this hate, oh. Take a moment, think about it. Why we always fighting? Man, we be so violent. Man and woman riot. How did we get started? Most of us don't even know. No. Take a moment, think about it. Why we always fighting? Man, we be so violent. Man and woman riot. How did we get started? Most of us don't even know. Don't even know.
It's time to mend this gap and get our love lives back. Most of us have come from a place of hurt and pain, but that's not the only way. There's still a chance to regain the trust we once had, a must. Let's pick up our hearts and grow onto a happily ever after we go.
Take a moment, think about it. Why we always fighting? Man, we be so violent. Man and woman riot. How did we get started? Most of us don't even know. Take a moment, think about it. Why we always fighting? Man, we be so violent. Man and woman riot. How did we get started? Most of us don't even know. Don't even know.
All right. Welcome you all. This is Love and Balance Talk Sessions. We have none other than myself, Nasik Rashi Sabah, Nasika Muna, Mora Dawood Akim, Mora Kailia, and Mora Zakaria. Shalom lekulam, shalom everyone.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
How y'all doing?
Doing well this evening. All esteem to the king.
All esteem to the king. And who is that king?
The king is none other than Yahweh Allah himself. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I know. So you all, we coming off of an excellent show, excellent episode, excellent discussion last week. We hope that we're going to present or produce the same this week and every week coming after. Today's topic, let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic, or the topic of today, is: have we forgotten how to protect? Have we forgotten how to protect? So go ahead. What do you all think about that? When you all heard that topic, what did you think when you first heard it or first read it? Have we forgotten how to protect?
There are so many different angles to attack this particular question. So it's like very interested to hear what are the subtopics that you have, because just the different components in our community that we have left open or vulnerable, or we can talk about that all night.
Okay, Toda. Anyone else? What did you think of when you saw this topic? Have we forgotten how to protect?
I feel like this is very layered, and my mind is taking this so many places, and very, it's not just surface level. I think a lot of the times, if we hear this off the bat, it reminds us of okay, are we talking about men? The first thing that comes to my mind, right, is men. But as a community, to me, it has been very apparent that we have indeed forgotten how to protect. I think mothers have forgotten how to protect their children. I think men have forgotten how to protect their women. I think fathers have forgotten how to protect their sons and daughters. We as communities have forgotten how to protect one another, whether it be, keeping or covering each other when it comes to any transgressions or any issues that we may have. We love to gossip, we love to do all these things. And I think that this question is very loaded. It's very multifaceted. So I'm excited to speak about it more and kind of bring it out. So.
All right, most definitely. This may be a part 1 to this. We'll revisit this topic, I'm sure, because it's so many layers with this topic, as you just stated. What about you, Mora? Yeah.
I think that ultimately, Zakaria said all of it. That's kind of the layers that I was thinking about it. And also the big thing is that protection is a communal act. So it kind of reflects the nature of the Most High in every aspect, especially when it comes to the Torah. So yeah, I definitely want to dive into this because this is layered physically, emotionally, spiritually, culturally. So yeah.
Come on now. Don't ruin it for us now, Mora. Dang. I can't even get to the subtopic. See, that's why she. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, I just interrupted, cut your wisdom. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. That's it.
All right. Ishti, have we forgotten how to protect? What did you think of when you heard this? Or when you read it?
I mean, just a combination of what Maura Kayulia and Maura Zakaria have already said. Just overall as a whole, I feel like we have let each other down. In a nutshell. Exactly.
All right, can y'all hear my Isha?
Not really.
Very
Really?
low.
All right.
Low, but I've heard her though. Nice and clear.
All right, cool. We're gonna work on that, you all. We're gonna work on that. So let's get started. So it is so much. I don't know if I know we're not gonna cover. I tried my best to figure out what stuff I wanted to pinpoint with this. Because again, I don't think when y'all read what I'm gonna put up there, you're gonna be like, okay, we could have touched on this, but I believe that these subtopics, we're still gonna hit different layers even within it. All right. So let's go ahead to the first one. And the first one is, as many families that we create, right? As many families that we create today, that's what I should have put. Have we neglected the importance of preparing our children from their youth on how to protect the mental, spirit, and physical health of their future spouse? Let me say that again. I know y'all can read, but I want to put the emphasis on what I'm saying. As many families that we create or created today, right? Have we neglected the importance of preparing our children from their youth on how to protect the mental, the spirit, and physical health of their future spouse? And let me put a caveat with that. The focus of this, what I just brought out, tends to come later on in our lives for most of us, right? Thinking in these different topics, the mental, the spirit, the physical health, we tend to learn or want to focus on that later in our years. But that we molded, and conditioned in our youth with these things. So again, is the importance neglected of preparing our children from their youth on how to protect the mental, the spirit, and the physical health of their future spouse? Anyone?
Here we go again. Y'all just don't. Okay. Absolutely. That is emphatically yes, because most of us don't understand that there's a mental, a spiritual, and a physical health component to life. So how can you train up a child or dedicate a child to a certain way that you don't know exists, or you haven't been properly trained in yourself? So the way that and then the aspect of getting married. How many fathers talk to their sons about marriage as opposed to sowing your royal oats, as they call it, or having, just the dysfunctional conversations that most men have with their sons, or how many women actually train their daughters to be wives. Most of our women don't know what a wife is, and most of our men don't know what a husband is. So, no, that we kind of are stopped at the beginning of that race altogether.
I'm gonna let everyone answer that, and then I'll come with a part two to that question, depending on how long we all go. So again, this goes for the next ones on the panel. Anyone could come in. Have we neglected the importance of preparing our children from their youth on how to protect the mental, spirit, and physical health of their future spouse? And notice I did say spouse, okay? Because that should, I would say, should be the goal. I know we're in 2024. A lot of people say, we're done with the marriage thing. We could speak on that, I'm sure, in future shows, if not this one alone. But I wanted to focus on the spouse part.
I think it's pretty evident. We spoke about this a little bit last time. We touched on a few of the topics. It's pretty evident in our statistical rates of divorce, of separation, of broken families, broken homes, that we have not been prepared. We have not prepared our children properly. I'm not necessarily stating right now, because I think now our mindsets are shifting to a different paradigm, and we are indeed more focused on that. However, it's very evident in past generations that there has not been a preparation, not a large scale preparation. So I won't say that, because there are select few, little individual, maybe niches or communities that have kept the focus on that, because they understand the importance of the foundation of a family and what it brings. But for the most part, for our people, not only awakened, but those that are still lost in the world as well, there has not been a preparation at all of this. In fact, it has been a kind of cyclical vortex of negativity and, lack of dependence on one another. It's been a very independent culture. There has been instilled a very independent mindset within our communities. It's kind of like every man for themselves. And then, the women are like, I don't need no man, which is insanity, but we won't go there right now. So, that all comes from a preparation on how to protect each other, because it's really important that each spouse understands how they are supposed to be protecting one another. This is not just on one side. This is not just the man protecting the woman, and it's not just a physical aspect either. Are men protecting her voice? Are they protecting her childlike tendencies? Are they protecting her innocence? Are they protecting her thoughts, her intuition? Are they protecting her wisdom? And then on the woman's side, are we protecting and respecting the man's authority? Are we respecting his capability and ability to lead? None of these things, as it's been evident on a large scale, have been a preparation in our children. And it's really showing and rearing its ugly head in our lives and in our communities now. But like I said, I do think that there has been a shift in paradigm, at least from the individuals I'm surrounding myself with. So I can't really speak on everybody, but there's definitely, I have seen a shift in mindsets and the importance of families. But yeah, I would say no.
All right. All right. Mora?
Yes, I definitely agree. I think that ultimately, when we look at the Torah, it says, train up a child in the way that they should go. And that training is kind of like to dedicate them. You're creating a palette for them to enjoy the things of the walk, the things of motherhood or um, wifehood or husbandhood, all the hoods. Um, but ultimately, because of the societal norms and what's going on in society right now, the social norms, that idea has completely left us. And the idea of protecting that rite of passage, I like to call it, from like, that preteen up until their adulthood, we have left that so open. So it's not protected at all. And it's kind of been like, figure it out. Figure out what you want to be, what you want to look like as a wife or as a mother. And that is such a dedicated time that we should be taking into consideration. We should be making them enjoy it, love it, create this palette to where it's like, ooh, I'm going into wifehood or I'm going into motherhood. Like all, like when you're a child, you're playing house and things like that. Like all that innocent things, that's gone from our society now. It's just like, girl, go get out there, go do this, go do that. You need to be working at 15. And it's like, what? You know what I mean? At 15, I'm now learning how to be, a woman. So there's still things that I should be learning and growing. I want to say also another thing is adulthood. When we do, get 19, 20, um, that love, it's like parents are like, you're grown, get out the house. But that love, that protection of adulthood, that beginning adulthood is not also protected at all. So we're just figuring out, kind of like what Maura Daoud was saying about go sow your royal oats. And it's like, what? So now when I enter, I'm like this close now to being in a marriage. I now bring all of this baggage to this marriage. So how can I protect that person emotionally, physically, or spiritually? Because I never took the time to learn it. So I do think that there is culturally and community wise, we need to go back to that rite of passage and making sure we are safeguarding that so that when everyone does get that chance to get into a marriage, they will understand how to protect and their roles, because roles need to be clearly defined also. I digress. Sorry.
Okay. I appreciate that. It's T. All right. I'm gonna have to. Go
Y'all
ahead.
heard?
Okay.
Just want to make sure I was loud and clear. I mean, all of you all touched on pretty much everything that circumferences or that circumference the state of what we're talking about. And Cain, or yes, absolutely. We have fallen off, and I will even go as far as to say even those in this walk, because I have seen, even in my years of being in this walk, a lot of divorces, unfortunately, because we have an idea of what culture is, an idea of what being a husband or a wife is, but putting it into practice is the other thing. That's why the mental, the spiritual, and the physical is important to, that's something that has to be nurtured. It's not something that can be, as we love to do so much, socialized. Social media. Oh, from social media, I learned how to be a wife, or social media taught me how to be a husband. It doesn't work that way. It's a grooming process with everything. Just like a job interview. I think the delicate nature of what protection is has been replaced with what we should expect from one another based on what somebody said online. And I believe we dropped the ball there because we're more concerned about our outward appearance more so than the peace of what's going on in the home. So absolutely, the protection is not there. I will say it's lacking. I won't say it's not there because there are some marriages that are definitely thriving. But overall, it's not there.
All right. Appreciate that. So what I really want to focus on, you all, is I know we know people. I know we have surrounded ourselves. That it's a saying, I think it's something along the lines of the top 5 people that you're around is kind of where you're at. So it's like if you're around people who are trying to build their families correctly and all that, and you're seeing that, that's what you're seeing. But remember, we're talking about us as a so-called Black community. We have to bring forth something that can help shift and help their lives, which that's what you all are doing anyway. That's what we're trying to do. So we got to look in from their lens, right? I think this, I'm gonna speak on it. I think that a lot of the things that's taught today is things that's not, it's a lot of things that's not taught today. So it's things that's not helping towards the benefit of their future. So okay, I want to put them in sports. Oh, I want to make them happy. Oh, I want to, show them how to get this money, save up for yourself, make sure when you get married, have a separate account and all this stuff. That stuff is cool. But the nurturing part that a lot of you all was talking about, my Ishai had just mentioned, it's just like everything else. When you're learning a language, when you're trying to lose weight, when you're trying to do whatever, it's a long process and you have to condition yourself and continue to practice over and over and over again. So I believe that spiritual aspect, right, that mental aspect is very important. The physical aspect is still connected to the spiritual as well. But I'll get into that. I want to bring something out really quick. Sirach. I want to bring out Sirach chapter 30 and verse 15. Sirach chapter 30, verse 15. It says, health and fitness are better than any gold. Okay. Health and fitness are better than any gold, and a robust body than countless riches. I think we are focused. There's nothing wrong with the focus about making sure that you're established, making sure that you are getting the degrees, making sure that you are your money is right for your family and things of that nature. But what happens if your mental is not right? What happens when you're with someone, you're not focusing on their mental? It could cause disruption with not only yourselves, but also the children that you produce, right? So it's an ever-going cycle. If that spirit is not right, I remember More Zakaria brought out as far as the leadership roles and things like that with the husband. What about things that we're facing outside as well? I want to add that in there. I think she may have mentioned that, but I'm gonna add it just in case. The things that we're facing outside, right? The things that the women is facing outside. There's some studies that I was doing the other day. I was going to bring it to the platform today, but I may if I have time. And it was talking about a lot of things pertaining to the woman and the man that I think would be very beneficial too. But let me continue reading this. It says, there is no wealth better than the health of body and no gladness above joy of heart, right? There's a lot of divorces happening, as my Ishai said. A lot of people are they're what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word I'm looking for. They're depressed, right? They could be making money, but they're depressed. Their body isn't right. Their health issues is happening with them. We're focusing on things that is good for the moment, but it's affecting us during the times of our lives, right? Our health and our family. So I wanted to bring that out. It says, death is better than a life of misery and eternal sleep than chronic sickness. These things are things that we need to touch on: the mental, the spirit, and the physical. Any thoughts on the Sirach chapter 30, you all?
Okay, certainly. As soon as you began reading it, the phrase came to mind that wealth doesn't buy health. So the money, as Sirach was saying, is pointless without the ability to utilize it. Right? Money is just a tool or a resource. Same thing with any other tool or resource. If you're not capable to use it because you are mentally drained, or you're depressed, or your chest's always hurting and your body's out of whack, then the money does nothing for you. And I think typically we only focus on health, which is another gateway or a door, as my Isha would say, another door to the enemy, because we don't focus on health until typically something goes wrong. So from a youth, we're not really taught to eat well. We're eating at all the fast food restaurants, or we got every type of Oreo, Chips Ahoy, Snickers, everything in the cabinets at home, and we wondering why the children are they jumping around and jumping on people's couches and all that, because their mind is being stimulated by something that shouldn't be there. So health is not something that is talked about enough in our homes, especially when it comes to, as you have said, the youth and the children.
Hey, anyone else? Anyone else have any thoughts left with this subtopic?
Yes. Okay, so when I deal with my high schoolers at GHATK, I always make sure to bring out the importance of health. And for me, in my understanding, I make sure that they understand that health is not just physical. I think that we have a tendency to think that, when we think of a healthy lifestyle, we're just thinking about, the physical aspect of it. And don't get me wrong, that is an aspect of it, and it is a very important aspect of it. But there are many different facets of health. And so I have my high schoolers focus on 4 different facets of it. There are more than this, but I have them focus on these 4. And the reason why I have them focus on these 4, which are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The reason why I have them focus on these 4 is because as they are developing into these young adults, I need them to understand how all of these aspects of health are actually intertwined and they're not separate from one another. So when we are eating right, we are exercising, we are taking care of our physical bodies, it is interconnected with how we feel emotionally. A lot of the times when you look up certain scientific data, it will show you that your gut is like your second brain. Your gut, your intestines, your everything that happens with your digestive system is actually akin to how you think. And it is very easy for us to not understand that and lack that understanding. Sorry, I just had to fuss at my children real quick. So in that aspect, in the gut being such a heavy hitter, I guess you could say, in a lot of our daily lives, that is one aspect in which our community has been very, very lost for a long time. You look at all the soul food that we used to eat, all of the things that we used to eat, and we're eating these things and all these processed foods even now today, these high fructose corn syrups, these everything, these red dyes, yellow 40s or whatever, or red 40s, yellow 5. All of these things are affecting us, and they are not only affecting our physical health, but it's linked then again to our emotional health. When you don't eat right, you don't feel good. You feel heavy, you feel weighed down, and that's going to bring your emotions down as well. It's all interconnected. So when now you don't feel good, now you're depressed, everything's sad to you, right? Then that starts to take a toll on your mental health. So now your mental health is depleting. You're constantly thinking these negative thoughts. These negative thoughts are replaying. You're not forcing yourself to come out of this cycle of this negativity to think upon gratitude and think upon these things. So you're now getting sucked into your own vortex of negativity because it all started from this cycle of not eating right. Then of course that's going to lead to your spiritual connectivity. You are not going to be able to connect to the Father in the utmost way that you need to connect to him when you do not feel good, when your mental is thinking negatively, when you are thinking about all these things that are just horrible and downtrodden, all these negative things, because Abba Yah does not operate in that. He inhabits the praise of his people. He operates in joy. When we look at the fruit of the Spirit and we look at all these characteristics that are of the Father, they are not the things that we have a tendency to really envelop ourselves into. But a lot of that comes from the base function of us not eating well. But we also have to remember, again, all of these things are intertwined, they're interconnected. So if we do not take the initiative to do something about the physical, which is one of the bases of it, everything above that or everything connected to it is then going to suffer. And I think that we have done a very poor job of instilling that within our children and within our generations. And that's why we see a lot of these diseases, coming in to our families, and we think it's genetic, like diabetes and high blood pressure. It's not. It's because of our learned eating habits. So a lot of the times, we just we have to learn better so that we can do better. But once we know, we have to implement that knowing, we have to implement that understanding. So Zehu.
Excellent, excellent. Do you all think that, going back to the youth portion of the question, do you all think that implementing, moments of meditation, of course, we're talking about with our literature is important, but moments to where you are separating, a lot of children, a lot of families today, they listen to music nonstop. They are going here with family and friends nonstop, just creating that balance to kind of help introduce or infuse something different that can bring it down, have you more calm. I know we was talking last week on dealing with why am I having a brain fart right now? Dealing with therapy, right? Showing them how to do conflict resolution. All these things can help with the mental aspect of dealing with the spiritual aspect with your spouse. Because at the end of the day, most of our children are going to try to end up with a man or end up with a woman. As far as marriage, they need to focus on these things. What do you all think about that when dealing with like conflict resolution? Does that assist when it comes to the mental and the spiritual when dealing with someone else?
King. That definitely does. I mean, when we're sitting here, we're talking about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence starts very young. So, I usually say, dealing with children, I've been dealing with children for over 15 years. The younger, the better. I'm talking 2 year olds. Teach them how to express themselves, listen to them, teach them how to, wait their turns. A lot of what we have or what we see now, you say emotional men, emotional women, it's because no one has taught them how to express themselves. So we're getting to adulthood and they're now expressing themselves. They don't care how it's coming out. They like to say, I'm speaking my truth. Yeah, but there's still discretion, there's still prudence, there's still discernment that comes with speaking your truth. But if that's not taught to them, then however chance they get, they're gonna do it, right? I do think that meditation is a number one. Being still. How would you be able to be intimate with your creator if you don't know how to be still? A lot of children don't know how to be still, and now youth don't know how to be still. But if you teach it to them younger, then you have that ability to help them to study their Torah. You can't study it if you can't sit long enough. You know what I mean? So it also helps them with their attention span. And you'll see a lot of adults need this too. Meditation is good because this is how we also sort out our emotions. A lot of us don't know how to allow our emotions to feel our emotions. It doesn't mean we have to dwell in them and sit in them forever, but to actually feel your emotions and not go numb to your emotions. This is what's happening. Why do I feel this way? Where did it come from? What is causing this trigger? A lot of us don't deal with that portion of us. We kind of just ignore it. Something you said about our future spouse. A lot of times we think that, oh, and once we get into marriage, they're going to help me figure this out. No, it's two people who needs to already be figured out. I need to know how to deal with my emotions. He needs to know how to deal with his emotions. And we're coming together and working on a way that we can do this together. But if we're both coming, I don't know how to deal with my emotions. I'm screaming, cussing, throwing things around. He's doing the same thing. Then where is the Most High in the midst of this? No one can have a moment to sit and say, well, we need to pray about this, or maybe I need to just take a moment to myself. But if you don't know that within yourself, then we have these toxic relationships. And that's kind of what you see, a lot of toxic, narcissistic relationships, because a lot of people have never dealt with their own emotions. And something that Zakaria said that was really good is the food. The food, just having that balance. It's a beginning balance. If you don't know how to balance yourself in just food alone, I don't know what else you can balance. It's simple as to what am I choosing to eat? It's a mindful thing. And I think that we're losing the mindfulness in every aspect of our lives. And we think just certain aspects we should be mindful, but literally everything you do should be mindful is. So protecting our eye gates, our, what we put in our mouth, our ear gates, all of that is a part of, it should be a part of your walk also.
Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else? Anyone else to close out this subtopic? You have anything else? All right. More Dawood, you quiet. You are not quiet enough. But you being quiet today. What's going on, man? What's going on? The people want to hear you, man. You done?
I am listening. I am listening. This is, it's very important to be able to hear different paradigms or different perspectives, and in that way you can, gain from all of them. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And also, these sisters got to speak. Is we are not in one of those situations where we want our Nashim to be silent. The Most High put wisdom in them, and it's being displayed right now. So I'm just taking the back seat and listen to the wisdom. I will bother y'all in just a few. Just go ahead. Yeah,
I'm sure you will. So to close it out, you all, I think one of the key points that was said when dealing with this is we spoke on the physical, we spoke on the mental, we spoke on the spirit. And we do see that being neglected on a large scale as a people, and it could come due to ignorance. And I think it's our job, the remnant of the remnant, the people that Mordecai is talking about, the people that we have been talking about, it's our job to really push this out there. That's why we got this platform, not just love, right? But love and balance. Love is subjective. People could just, I'm loving, but they don't have the balance and the understanding to execute these things that we're speaking of. And one thing that was brought out was what you're eating. We ran into, I forgot the brother's name, but he spoke on that so heavily, said the same thing you said, Mordecai. As far as like it's what we eat. That eat can shift your mood, what you eat can shift your mood completely. And you might never be aware of it because you have become accustomed to eating, and you just think that's a part of your nature, Well, man, I spaz out. No, you spaz out because of what you're eating, and your mental ain't balanced. Your spirit is everywhere. So we got to focus on conditioning our children, as it was brought out a couple of times. Train up a child in the way it should go, and it will not depart. Right? But you can't stop there. You have to bring that child around other family members that have the same moral capacity as you, so that child that you're raising up will not be as tempted when the child is put out with other children that may not be on the same moral compass and ideology, right? Because a lot of us that's watching this right now, watching back, you're not a part of communities. You're sending your children to other schools when you need to be bringing them to, is it SAHA? Is that the acronym? What's the acronym? SAHA, set apart SAHA, you know what I'm saying? And then GHATK.
Hebrew Academy for
there you go. Reach out to Mora Dawood and Mora Kayelia and Mora Zakaria when y'all need that. But anyway, that's another thing. Let's keep going, you all. We're gonna close out. Anything else on that topic right there, you all? Low. He trying to get me to go. All right, next topic. So it's a little shift, but we're gonna go into it. What do you think? Wait, before I read this, hold on. No. The ultimate topic is, have we forgotten how to protect? So we focused on the mental, the spirit, and the physical aspect of the body, the mind, right? The health. So next topic is, or subtopic, what do you think is the reason a lot of so-called Black families are against having firearms in their homes? And then the second part to that is, do we rely more on the government for our safety than we think. Right? I know you all got firearms, so we ain't talking about you, Mordecai. Okay, I don't know about more Daoud. He probably got some Rambo. I don't know, but the question is more broad. I have ran across a lot of families that don't have firearms, even to the point where they're like, we don't want that in our home, right? So, what do you think is a reason a lot of so-called Black families are against having firearms in their homes? And the second part is, do we rely more on the government for our safety?
Can I be heard?
Speak up a little bit more.
Oh, Miss Sarah. One I can attest to is religion. Religion for a lot of our people. I think everybody knows somebody who's a Christian, and it's an imbalance and inconsistency with where their God is prevalent and where He's not. Because a lot of them will say, well, the Lord is my protection. But when there's an emergency, they'll call 911. Or if they need medication, they'll go to the hospital. And I'm like, where's the fine line between what the Lord can do and what He can't do? And from what I've read in all the literature, is everybody had a sword of some sort to protect themselves. Because war and that's another topic, but because war and just crime was still prevalent during that time, and they didn't have a 911 to my knowledge that they had, so they had to protect themselves, whether it was a sword, slingshot, or something of that nature. And I just think religion has a big part to do with it, but it's also a little bit of hypocrisy in there, because on one hand they're saying, well, no guns, and on the other hand, as soon as something happens, they're calling 911, or they're getting assistance with medication. And I'm not against that, of course, but we have to look at it that the eternal power has given us wisdom. And I don't think He would want us to be in a situation where if someone's trying to come at us with a weapon, we should have a weapon to match what they're trying to do. Because I know we have some people that know Kung Fu and karate and Wing Chun, Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, all those things, but it's unless you can dodge a bullet, I don't know what to say to you.
Can't kick no bullet.
Right. So I think religion plays a big part.
Hold on. Anyone else?
Psychological warfare that has happened, especially to our people here. You say, so-called Black people families. So certainly here, when you go to, of course, you go back to slavery days where we didn't have any weapons, and then you get out of slavery. Then you fast forward to the 60s. We were shown that quote unquote nonviolence is the way to go. So when they allowed the route that Dr. King, I'll be respectful, Dr. King went to flourish, as opposed to Malcolm or even the Black Panthers took, they kind of made our minds think, okay, look, if we want to get things done, then we gotta protest, right? Or we gotta do sit-ins, or we gotta march, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of the same thing that we've been doing, or we gotta rally, right? So you go from the 60s and then you go to now. That's why you have the Black Lives Matters, and we're walking down the street with 500 men in purple, just to show that we can march down the street in purple. Didn't really do anything. They were scared when we had arms, right? As a coach said, and this is like, according to our literature, according to our culture, we did have to protect ourselves. There was no 911. There wasn't anything like that. You had to do what you had to do to protect you and yours. So I think we are scared to show power, and having weapons, that doesn't mean that you are powerful. It's a whole lot of punks with guns, scared people do scary things. But in the most part, like when you do have a balanced mind, so on and so forth, you and a weapon are a very dangerous combination. How does yield there?
Hey, that was powerful. When you do have a balanced mind, you and a firearm or a weapon is a powerful thing. I think that's what you said. But anyone else? That was amazing. I'm sure.
I also think a large part of it is because we don't really trust ourselves. Like, I think we know that we're emotionally unstable for a large part, and having a gun in the home kind of scares us because we know, well, those that, I'm not saying everybody, but I think as a general kind of rule of thumb of the community, I think it scares us because we think that we may snap and just, be like, let me not say that. We on live, ain't we? And just be like these people that be shooting things up. Reel that back in. But I do think that we absolutely rely on the government for our safety more than we think. And I think the reason why we rely on the government is because we don't have a stable community to run to. We don't have brothers that we can call when we getting hit on. We don't have, and I don't mean like cat calling. I'm talking like black eyes and things like that, and I'm not saying that everybody, but I'm saying in a large facet, we don't have a community that we can call on that is also going to hold whoever is doing something wrong accountable. We lack so much accountability in this community. It's crazy. I mean, people just doing anything. And I think that's why we feel like we need to turn to the police or the government or the courts, because we don't have that system within our own community to be able to hold each other accountable, to resolve the issues that need to be resolved, and to really fix any issues that need to be fixed. So it's greater than just saying, hey, you're wrong. Okay, well, how then do we go about rectifying this? What are the implementations that need to be had as far as any type of punishment, if so, but we had all these things in scripture. There were things that we needed to do as people. There was things, what I'm saying? There were things you was gonna get stoned for if you was acting up. And we don't have that anymore. We don't have that free reign to be able to work out our own situations in our own type of government, because we have showed ourselves irresponsible. There are many different facets to that. We showed ourselves incapable of doing so. We were lying, we were cheating, we were taking bribes, we were doing all these things. So, we don't have a community that is able to really do that for us. So we have to rely on the government a lot of the times because we haven't established ourselves to the point where we can govern ourselves properly. So, Segu.
Well, and Segula, did you want to speak on it, or can
I'll go after you. You're fine.
Okay. Yeah, and we don't want that responsibility. So it's not even that we don't have the ability to do it. We just don't want it. Because and I'm not talking about 60 years ago when we were fighting for it. I'm talking about now when you do have the ability to create organizations, right? Or you can create communities, and there's so much going on in law right now that we can have another topic on where you can govern yourselves, but that would mean that you would have to take the responsibility for everything going on within your communities and in your neighborhoods. And for the most part, we don't want that. Our elders have been degraded, disrespected, and they have become silent. Those who say they want to be leaders and so on and so forth, we're not really coming together to actually build the infrastructure. And all that is because we don't want the responsibility. That's what our people have been doing since ancient times. We have tossed it to something else whenever it is our time to step up. The government is our daddy. Well, not my daddy. He's other people's daddy, obviously, because that's who they continuously go to. So we got a problem, I'm going to daddy. I'm hungry, I'm going to daddy. Somebody want to fight me, I'm going to daddy. So whoever you go to constantly, that's who you have yielded your power to. So because we don't go to our literature, we don't go to our word, we don't implement those things, we have rejected our father and then put a stepfather in his place who does not care about the household. So that's why we don't care. We don't want guns. And shout out to Big Chief. I did see what you put in the chat that every time we do show power, we get shut down by the government. Well, that also shows, well, that's a couple things and a different topic in itself, but we're not standing with real power. Huh?
I said, bring it out.
We're not standing with real power, which is why I said, like, a gun doesn't make you powerful. Weapons don't make you powerful. We won wars without weapons. We conquered with our voices. So it's like when when we try to take on the tools and weapons of other people as opposed to what originally belonged to us, then we're always going to be conquered because we're fighting in a war, kind of like, and I'm gonna be quiet, kind of like David, right? When he was going up against Goliath, Saul tried to give him his armor, tried to give him his sword and stuff like that. And he was like, yo, this is unfamiliar to me. This is not what I use for war. And the same thing is happening to us. The government and these other nations have taught us how they do war. And now we're trying to implement their style of warfare instead of the style that we always implemented, which was calling on our true power, which would then give us the strategy and the resources in order to win the war. So,
man, look, you're going somewhere. You're going into the next topic, and it might rub some people wrong when they hear my next subtopic that I put there. But I want to stay on what you're talking about. I think that it's amazing. That's why the spiritual part is still in there too. That was the first subtopic. We talked about the mental, we talked about the physical, and we talked about that spiritual, right? That spiritual is really being connected mentally as well. So if you can't get those things that you just brought out, right? Unless you're truly connected to the eternal power. Unless you're truly connected to Yah. Only a remnant of a remnant. Everything that we're talking about right now has been happening since back then. We've been having people that always wanted to be a part of something outside of us. A government outside of us. Each and every time. So it's nothing new. We have had, now the one thing that I would agree, the one thing I do want to agree to, which I agree with mostly everything that's been said, with what Mordecai brought out when she was saying that, the accountability part, like the repercussions. We can't really do that like we want to today, but I think we still could. We just need enough people to formulate certain things in place. I remember Chief Prince Evelyn was about to bring out an idea to where if we could connect to all those who follow the same path that we do, whether it's different doctors or not, and we establish like a database, right? To where, you have people that'll be banned from an organization and they'll just go organization hopping and all that other stuff. So they may do something to a woman, disrespect a woman, get kicked out, he go to another place, and now he's disrespecting women, all that other stuff. If it was a database to show that this person got banned from the Israelite faith, he can't start his own anything, right? But that's one of them things that it will take enough of us to want to do. But that's going to go into the second one, though.
But you don't want the responsibility. That's
the part. That's the part. That's why I was pulling back a little bit, because it's like the responsibility, the accountability. Go ahead.
No, well, I'm with you because Segula, did say that she wanted to go after me, so I'm gonna yield and then I'll just pick up after her.
Oh
Go.
no, you are absolutely fine because you said literally everything that I was gonna say. The only thing I did want to add was, since we're talking about protection, we no longer have that Papa Bear protection. So like the men of the household that were making sure they were protecting the women and the children, I think that has been lost also. That fight for them, that the Most High says that providing and protection, that protection we no longer have. It's like it's no longer in the men to want to protect, or they see something wrong happening to step in. And I feel like that confidence, that's what's missing in our men. And I think that also has to do with spiritually too, this Torah. So when we're looking at the Torah, are we actually, I like to say, powering up or gaining that confidence to stand on, oh, this is, that holy anger, we don't have that anymore. It's kind of like, yeah, they'll deal with that. And I'm praying that that actually comes back, that fight that we should have within us, especially if we're saying we represent this Torah, we represent the Creator. Then where is our fight? Why are we so afraid of literally everything? Even when you're talking about that accountability, we shouldn't be afraid of that either, because this all comes with this Torah that we're studying. So I do feel like we're losing that confidence, and it does have to do a lot with not having the community or not having leaders who are saying, usually like how we were able to be broken down by the church, because you had that pastor who was funneling that fear into us. So we don't have the leaders now funneling that faith into us either, or that encouragement or that confidence also.
Go ahead, more.
No, I was just gonna say that all we need is a couple brothers to put on some masks and to start beating other brothers up. Just beat them up on live. Just say we saw what you did to the sister. We're gonna beat you up. Everybody got on masks. Don't nobody tell nothing. This is the PG-13 version of the Avenger of Blood, right? Like each family had an Avenger of Blood. So something happened in the family, they already know who they was gonna call, so on and so forth. And we have that in a sense. It's just perverted. Like a lot of our culture is, you can kind of see remnants of it in our communities, but it's of a perverted nature, right? So you talk about protection. Well, in the gang, Big Chief, I know you violent. Anyway, you talk about people in the hood, right? Okay, well, gang wars. Well, you go take one of mine. Well, I'm gonna take one of yours, and people fighting for over neighborhoods and stuff like this is a warped mentality. But if we can bring it back into righteousness, now it is I'm gonna protect this neighborhood, kind of what the Bloods and the Crips were at is inception, right? Where we are policing our neighborhoods, we are protecting our streets, and other communities do it, which is why I say it's not that you can't do it, it's that you don't want to do it.
That's right. And I think that the reason we don't want to do it, because now you're going to be held accountable as well. The leaders that could do it, that accountability has to fall on them also. So it's so interesting, man. And it goes back to Deuteronomy or Devarim chapter 1. It goes back everywhere. Like, we have the ability to do it, as you've been saying, but we don't want to, because then the light shines on us. It shines right back on us. So I just wanted to bring that out. Is anything else you all have for this subtopic right here? Anyone? No? Oh man, y'all, I guess we missing
Go ahead.
What was you about to say?
I was going to talk on the aspect of families, right? Because you keep putting this word in these subtopics, and I'm trying to figure out where is it coming from? Because we're not building families in our neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
We're just creating children and then putting them out on the street at 17 or 18. You're talking about the aspect of protection, right? Like, I was talking to my Isha earlier in regards to the topic, and it's like, when do you stop becoming your son, your father and mother's child? That's a question.
Mm-hmm.
No, for y'all.
Oh,
Never.
Okay. Because for some reason in our communities, you get an eviction notice at 18. Some people get an eviction notice even sooner. So it's like, I shouldn't stop being your child, and you shouldn't stop walking me through this life just because I hit what this society says is adulthood. When in all actuality, 18 is still a teenager.
Yeah.
19 is still a teenager. 20 is a young adult who probably just getting out of school. People go to college and lose their mind. You know why? Because they weren't prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't prepared for, I ain't got no curfew, or ain't no parent teacher conferences. Ain't no, it's none of that. Ain't no, I live on a dorm. I got my own room. If I want to holler at Shorty, I can bring her in my room. I don't have to hide nothing. Like that is a arena of many casualties. College. People are sending their children off to college when in all actuality, if they want to go that route, send them to community college so they can be right around the corner from you, so you can teach them. So we're not protecting parents, right? The elders, once a child gets to a certain age, they wash their hands with them as if that's still not your child. And then vice versa, children are doing the same thing to their parents when they get older. We don't protect the elders no more. So because we don't protect our elders, our elderly mother, our elderly father, right? You got the grandmother, the grandfather, because we don't protect these elders, that's why they don't want to speak anymore. That's why they're not fighting for the neighborhoods. That's why they're not organizing and giving us wisdom on how to organize. There are many of our elders who were there in the 60s, who were doing the marches, who was doing the protests, who were a part of the Black Panthers. And they can give us so much wisdom for what it is that we need to do. But because if an elder get robbed, ain't nobody going to go after whoever robbed them, even though you might know who it is. So I went on that tangent slightly because you keep putting families in there, and I'm trying to figure out where is the family. I just see people who are growing up in a house together. Those are roommates. That's not family. So I
mean, I feel like you was attacking me, you know?
No, it ain't you. It's just
right there. Dang. I'm using the verbiage that we use in the so-called Black community. We literally say family, you know? But you poured out wisdom and knowledge. You know, family understands structure, family structure. Notice I didn't say family structure that, you know, but they understand that structure. They understand that hierarchy. They understand the roles that More Zakaria brings out a lot, the roles. But it's going to go into this next topic once we're done with this, because, man, you all are bringing out a lot of good points that I think everyone needs to know. Is there anything else that you all had for this particular topic in addition? We still got time. We missing somebody today, but they're going to be back next week. Hopefully they tuning in. If you tuning in, put the thumbs up for the people in the chat. Tell us you miss us. Anyone else? Let me bring out this comment right here. Well, actually, let me go up first. It says Dawood King is speaking fact. Dawood Akeem is speaking facts. It says Adam and Hawa, or Adam and Eve, the Most High's people have erred so far from him that we are lost before we came into the truth, i.e., lost sheep. Good point. Good point. Then we have my says, or my Ishai as well, of course, right? As long as I have breath in my body, my babies are my babies and are under my protection. I will defend them to the end and everybody's shape and form. What? To the we got to, I don't know what to say right there. Teaching them how to stand on their own along the way. Yes.
Hallelujah.
I do concur.
Hello, yeah.
I'm not going to say what I want to say. He might show up and pop up out of nowhere. All right, you all. Those that's tuning in right now, that's watching, please make sure you like, make sure you subscribe if you have yet to do so, and leave a comment. We will post your comment and get your thoughts on the topic so far. We just finished up on the first one. I'll go to the first one and the second one. If you missed the first one, it was as many families that we create. This is why Maury Dawood was getting on me about the families. Have we neglected the importance of preparing our children from their youth on how to protect the mental, spirit, and physical health of their future spouse? Right? We spoke on that. So if you missed it, come back to it, watch it again. The one we just left was what do you think is the reason a lot of so-called black families, that's what Maury Dawood was getting on me about, are against having firearms in their homes? Do we rely more on the government for our safety more than we think? All right. So that was the second one. Let me see if there's any more comments before I go to the third. Princess Madai says, I felt all that he said. Literally, if we don't go and sit at our elders' feet and glean from them, how will we learn and be strong and or stronger than them? That's right. That's right. We're supposed to stand on the shoulders of our elders, but how do we get that wisdom, right? If we're not standing on their shoulders, or if we're not even right next to them, trying to pick from their brain what it is that they went through and any insight they may give us on how to overcome what we're going through. We don't like the elders. She says, we've lost the value of familyhood and village or / community living. We westernized and subdued by the entertainment of the world. All right. Any comments on any of the things that were said? So let's move on.
Each generation supposed to get stronger, and since the we were going up from the 1900s on up, and then once we hit the 60s, and Michael King took us into a burning building, we have been going down, and we've seen the decline of our black men, which has led to the decline of our black women, quote unquote, and which has, of course, led to the decline in the scattering of our children.
Okay. All right. Let's bring the subtopic, the third one. All right. I wanted to show some things, but I'm gonna do that after we speak on the topic. And if we have time after I share it, maybe you all could comment on what I'm going to bring out. Okay, but here's the topic, the subtopic, you all. Before I read it, now we had More Zakari, I think earlier said something about the man not protecting properly, which I agree with. And then we had More Dawood said something about taking on the ways in which we're, doing now from the government and what they put on us, right? So are we protecting our community today in the way that we understood it back then? Or have we adopted the ways of the nations? All right. I'm going to bring something out. Maybe I'll bring it out now. I'm going to read a few things before y'all answer that question, but just dwell on it for a minute. Are we protecting our community today in the way that we understood it back then? Or have we adopted the ways of the nations? Go ahead and answer that question before I bring it out, y'all. Go ahead and answer that question.
You don't know what you want to do.
I don't, because if I bring out what I'm going to bring out, it may move or shift what you're going to, originally say. So I want to hear what y'all are originally going to say first.
Akio, Segula, Amuna, Zakaria, y'all got it. I'll wait on y'all. I mean, I can answer, but I'm going to yield the floor to y'all.
Okay.
And when I
So
say
this
back then, when I say back then, it doesn't have to be like within the last 100 years. It could be back as far as you want it to be, or within the last 100 years or so.
hallelujah. I took it back to scripts only because the point that I would like to bring out has to do with dedicating our children to a false mighty one, putting our children through the fires of Molech, right? I think that our community has done a horrendous, horrific, terrible, no good job at protecting our communities, especially our children and our households. Um, and we have absolutely adopted the ways of the nations. And when I say that, when I thought about the aspect of protection, especially in children, our households have such an alarming rate of like in-house molestation. Like it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And families are so okay with sweeping these things under the rug and, branding them as normal, or that's just what we do, or every family has one, like really disturbing and disgusting mindsets that have come along with that. And I always say, I like to study etymology a lot. And the fires of Molech was not just like literally throwing your child into the fire. The root word of molest is molech. So when scripture is also talking about the fires of Molech, when I'm trying to word this in a appropriate and maybe like less severe way, but when something happens to the body, especially of a small being, a child, and you input something into somewhere where it's not supposed to be inputted, it is a sensation that's called the ring of fire. It also happens in birth when the baby is coming out, and there is a large stretching of a place. And so this is also part of the fire and the fires of Molech, the fires of Molest. Like we were not supposed to participate in these things because a lot of the time child molestation is actually a ritual sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of their innocence. It's a sacrifice of their internal being, because as we see, and as we have seen, that continues on a perpetual cycle. Once somebody has experienced that, it is more likely for them to then pass that on by doing the same thing to somebody else. And this is a ritual. This is a literal ritual. So in that sense, yes, we have absolutely gone for the ways of the nations. We have absolutely taken on the ways of the nations, because that is one of the main things that they were doing and practicing even in scriptural times. And when we look back at scripture and see some of the things that we were doing, it wasn't just something simple. Those pagan deities, these false mighty ones that we were going after today, we're still going after. We're still allowing in our households. We're still brushing things under the rug and not protecting the innocence of our children. And for me personally, that's a very loaded topic. If you do know my story and a little bit about my background, that is something that is very, very personal to me, because we as a community, I mean, I've literally had people tell me like, oh, every family has one. And that is so disgustingly disturbing. Like that is supposed to be okay, or if that is supposed to be something normal. And then we hear all these things on social media about how, these families have gone throughout these generations and generations and generations of these abuses to these children and normalized it. And that is a big part of the protection of the community that we are lacking. Because even when these things come out, even when our children come and tell, hey, this has happened to me, a lot of the times the family will brush it off or tell them they're lying, or, they don't do anything about it. And that takes a huge toll on the child that is then supposed to, like, how are they then, when they didn't experience protection, how are they then supposed to protect? If a young woman is abused in that way when she is little, and she goes to express this and she needs protection and doesn't receive that protection, how then is she supposed to understand how to protect her children and how to protect her husband? how to protect her sisters, how to protect her family, how to protect her community. How is she supposed to understand these things? Because that protection was never embedded, that was never afforded to her to begin with. So there is not going to be any understanding, and not just women. It's an alarming rate of our young men also experiencing the same thing. So I'm definitely not trying to categorize this. It's an alarming rate of our men that have been through this type of situation. And so, yeah, I think that we've done a terrible job at protecting our communities and our children, and we've absolutely gone after the nations.
One of the things that popped up in my mind as you first started off speaking was Leviticus 19, or Y equal to 19:29, when it says, do not defile, right, or profane or degrade your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will be filled with prostitution and wickedness. When you brought that out about Molech. But I'm going to go into some more stuff in a minute. Anyone else have anything told out for what you brought out, Mordecai? So
no, that's all good. I don't want to do it no more.
I was just bringing it back up for you all. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He doing so much better, from last week. Everybody clap for him in the chat. Everybody just put the clappy hands. He doing so much better, so everybody can read. Are we protecting our community today in the way that we understood it back then, or how we adopted the ways of the nations? First, I want to kind of touch on also what the coach was just saying, in the sense of, you look at King David and what took place in his household with his children, and based off of his sin, right? So when we're talking about the aspect of protection, the fathers and the mothers have to understand that what you do affects your children in a way where these covenants or these spirits are able to then wreak havoc in your household, right? There was murder amongst the children. There was hate amongst the children. There was incest amongst the children. So when you're talking about the lack of protection, or have we taken on the ways of the nations, we have sold our children even to Hollywood, right? You hear so much about our children and what's going on in Hollywood, and how they're childhood stars, but then they grow up and all they can do is just turn to drugs, because their childhood has been taken from them and their mind is so destroyed, and it has placed them in a state where they don't want to be sober. So now you have just completely destroyed an entire generation. But that's because we want to be like the other nations, which, as you said, this has been going on from the beginning of time. It doesn't matter what other nation you put beside us. For some reason, we just want to go over there like Dinah. We just want to go and see what was happening in the land of Shechem. Dinah had 12 brothers. For those who don't know the story of Dinah, it's in the book of Genesis. Dinah was the only daughter that's written of in our literature of Jacob. She went by herself, unprotected, not by her father, not by the 4 women who probably could have been called Aim or Mama, nor her 12 brothers. And she goes all by herself, which just shows us even in the household of someone that you would deem righteous, there are doors that are being left open that our children are getting out of, and they're being punished for it. They're being traumatized for it. And they're not coming back normal because we're not talking about it. There is no therapy. Most of our children need therapy. They're seeing their mother get beat on, or they're seeing their mother have, you know how many children got like 12 uncles, because every man that you bring into the house, you tell them to call them Uncle John and Uncle Luke and Uncle Mike. They got uncles and they meet 5 uncles a month. That is traumatizing. Or the father that comes in and out of the house and say, I'm gonna come, but you don't come, and so on. We are the aspect of protection, especially when it comes to our children. That's the most important part. We got to protect each other as spouses or sisters and brothers in adulthood, but the children in the lack of ability in themselves in order to protect themselves means that is a greater burden upon us, and we have completely left open the floodgates. Because most parents today, especially in our communities, they are counting off the birthdays until they can kick that child out the house. They are counting off birthdays. I know so many men who are literally counting birthdays so they can stop paying child supports because they don't want to take care of their child. Now, granted, if some brothers out here who going through some rough stuff, I do feel for y'all because the woman ain't right in some situations. But in the most part, you ain't doing what you were supposed to do. So you think of sending money, but you're not spending time with your son. Mostly it's a whole lot of sons who get left. It's a whole lot of daughters whose mother, because the father left, they so focused on trying to get another man that they not teaching their daughter. And so now you and your daughter are both pregnant at the same time, and she's 16 in your house. There's just so many stories that we can go off of, which I'm gonna be quiet because Nasik just gave me, the head nod to be quiet, which is rude. But anyway, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet.
Home is the foundation. First of all, I didn't do all that. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. He was doing so good, then he had to tell a story. You was bringing down some great knowledge, great wisdom, and then you went into some baby stuff. Home is the foundation, man. Community is its mirror. So the children are affected due to the parents. The community is affected due to the parents. The nation is affected due to the parents. A lot of people not gonna like that. A lot of stuff that's happening right now is due to we weren't taught it. Our parents didn't teach us, or their parents didn't teach us how to bring structure in to make sure if, hey, this your sister going out, you need to be with your sister. Somebody needs to be with your sister, which goes into the point that I'm about to bring out, but I don't want to jump in between Mora Kahilia and my Isha. But I want to remember that point. You all fell right into my trap. And y'all don't even know it. The Most High is amazing because y'all fell right into my trap, especially Mora Dawood and Mora Zakaria. But I love it. Y'all fell right into it. So I'm gonna let my Isha, if she has anything to say towards this, and more Akayelia, if you have anything to say. But then I want to bring some things out because you all brought some excellent points, Bor Zakaria and Bor Daoud, and we need to bring out what I want to bring out. Did any one of you have anything you wanted to say? Still, you don't got nothing. Still, okay.
Just Mara Zakaria and Amore Daoud did an excellent job on actually bringing out. But just some things to add to that. Just the covenants we're making as parents is very important. When you were talking about that protection starts with your covenants. The idea of I'm going to have a child, that conversation first, no one's having. It's just, we just want to have children. I've as long as I've been in this walk, I hear families say all the time, like, oh, our quiver, we need to fill up our quiver, have lots of children. This is what we do, barefoot and pregnant. What? There's a responsibility that comes with that. And a lot of people aren't doing that. You need to train these children. The more children you have, the more training you need to do. The more you need to make sure you're emotionally intelligent so you can close those covenants, those doors, so your children aren't reaping the badness, if you want to put, of what is happening. Kind of like what Zakaria was saying, there's more to that. There's abortions. We're having abortions because of that child going through Molech. Now, I don't even understand the purpose of this gift that's given to me. So I'm thinking every month Every time it happens, I can just have abortion. But now that closes your door when you decide to have a child. Now you're having miscarriages, but you've also opened a door for whatever child that does come through this vortex now has to deal with all of the other covenants you made before that. So I think that ultimately there is a lot that we're not looking at when it comes to this protection because we're just doing things because society says just do it. So yes, we have definitely taken on the ways of society thinking it's better. It's never better. Nothing's ever greener on the other side. What you have, you should be content with, and you should groom it and make it what it needs to be. And we have taken away the idea of being content and doing our responsibility and holding ourselves accountable. And we're constantly looking to everyone else, which is why the Most High was mad with us in the first place. Like, I've given you everything, the best of the best, yet you're still looking at everyone else. And that's still our problem today.
Excellent points. Go ahead, more dog.
I was saying I may.
All right. So more Daul, you brought out Dina, right? And more Zakar, you brought out basically this was going on since back then. I want to bring something up. I always teach us a remnant of a remnant. So the same thing that is going on today, as both of you have brought out, has been going on since back then, right? But what the Most High through our literature has shown us through many instances is to pick individuals that are worthy to be put in those positions, right? They have wisdom, they have great character, integrity, knowledge, and things of that nature. Using that concept, it got me thinking about all the great leaders, presidents, and things of that nature, right? They move in the way that our literature has actually given us. So let me bring this up. One of the biggest things that we have to focus on for our community to be safe is to make sure that the women are safe, right? The wife is safe. I always say the wife and the husband, or the man and the woman, as the foundation. And my question to add to this, right? Because the question was, let me go back to the question. Are we protecting our community today in the way that we understood it back then, or have we adopted the ways of the nations? How were we back then? More Daul brought up last week, and I think a little bit this week, how we had, I forgot the number you brought out, More Daul. I think you said like 73% of our women, or a certain number, have children, things like that, that's not with someone in that matter. I forgot the actual topic, but I know I'm messing it up. But you can bring it out right now if you want to before I read it. Go ahead. What was you saying?
I think it was 73% of our children are born to women who are not married. I believe so.
I think, let me just get back to the point. I think the biggest solution to every problem we're having right now is being proactive. And in that proactive is having structure as to having people around often, right? More Daul, I had this conversation with you before. More Zakaria, you heard me teach on this before. I want to bring it out, and I want to bring out the old, because both of you, I said stay in 100 years. Y'all both went to the Tanakh. So I want to bring something out. So the Israelite women travel alone in the Tanakh days. I want to read some things to y'all. In the Tanakh days, it was uncommon for an Israelite woman to travel alone. As society emphasized family and community connections for safety provision and identity, travel often involved group movements such as family journeys for religious festivals, migrations, or in a response to war or famine. Women would generally travel with family members, servants, or other community members, right? Then it started going into all the examples. You all are pretty familiar with those examples. So one of the things I brought up was like, okay, some people will say, okay, what about this other cultures of people within Africa that moved a certain way? So I wanted to bring out some numbers. And I'm going to connect this to what we're talking about, but I want y'all thoughts on it once I read it. Okay, give me a second. I'm pulling it up right now. When I did my little research on how common it was for our women and our women to be alone. I pulled up in Africa, 70 to 90%, which is a huge number if you're really big with percentage, if you really got to understand it about percentages. 70 to 90% of women likely travel with at least one man. This is in Africa, right? 70 to 90% of women likely travel with at least one man. This was the norm in many societies, due to safety concerns, gender roles. Morzakara, you speak on gender roles a lot. And practical considerations. Male companions could include husbands, brothers, other relatives, or hired escorts. Particularly in long-distance travel or dangerous regions, it was more common to travel in mixed gender groups or family units. Now watch this. 10% to 30% of women likely traveled alone or in all-female groups. Okay? Women traders, spiritual leaders, or nomads might travel solo for short distances or in areas considered safe. All female groups were also common, especially among market women traveling to nearby towns and villages in matrilineal or egalitarian societies. This percentage might be on the higher end. Now, I had a lot of just to sum that up, it also said when I go down, I could bring it, I could send it to you all too. The 10 to 30% of the women that it says travel alone, it said it more likely they traveled with a group of women, right? Or they traveled in group. It wasn't alone. And typically they have a hired servant. But that 10 to 30% is very low. It was common, not only, now this is just African societies, right? 10 to 30%. In ours, if you consider yourself an Israelite or Hebrew, in ours, it was up there almost 100. Literally. Whether you Old Testament or whether you first century and beyond, right? But I want to bring something out. I want to bring out what the I looked up the
how you just put that right there. I like how you put that right there. I like that. I like
what I put out.
No. I like the first century will be that was nice. Keep going.
Yeah. Because what I had, I got a lot to read, and it goes into the first century too. Goes to it breaks down a lot of stuff. And I already know this stuff already. This is why I teach it. And it will help a lot of things that we're talking about. The Dina situation, that shouldn't have happened. A lot of situations that Morzakara is talking about, it shouldn't happen. Well, we got uncles and stuff like that that's horrible. I agree with you. Those uncles should not be around the family. We should have righteous men, right? Uncles, whoever, who we deem to be around our daughters and little nieces and stuff like that. We have that capability, but we prefer to be moving like we are now. We adopted what we're doing here. We talk about Africa, we talk about all this stuff, but we ain't looked into it to really see. And the other African societies that we use to say all women was this, that's 10 to 30%. It's still a whole 70 to 90% that they travel in the way that I'm speaking now. But when we go to, I want to bring out the president, right? I know this ain't, why am I bringing this up? It's very important. Those men of status, those leaders of status, they had a certain security measure. And I think these topics that we're having right now is because we don't have security measures. And you know how Mora Dawood was talking about the accountability of the men. We don't want to do that. It's the same thing with the women. The women don't want that accountability. They still want that freedom. And I stand firm on what I'm saying. We want that freedom, but if something happens, now we're complaining about all the stuff that's negative and harming our community. And that's a fact. I'm not negating that. That is factual and that's truthful. But when are we going to put the measures as we did in old? Whether you believe yourself to be an Israelite or whether you believe yourself to be Kemetic, or somebody from Africa. The majority of us operated with moving in some type of security. Let me read this. It says, yes, presidents and leaders of the caliber, I was asking this question, typically are detailed security measures in places everywhere they go. These measures are meticulously planned and executed by professional security teams, often from specialized government agencies, to ensure their safety in all situations. Why am I reading this? What does this have to do with anything? Do we deem our children more important than the president? I'm going to pause. Do we deem, look, come on, make the face all you want. I know you're going to joke, man, but I'm being serious, man.
I'm listening to you.
We don't have the resources to have all this, and we got to work and all this. Man, we could do anything else we want to do. We can figure it out. Right? So with this that I'm looking up, it starts bringing out, talks about the spouses and the children. The spouse and children of the president or leader, right, are generally given similar levels of security as the leader, particularly when they are in public or traveling. This includes bodyguards, secure transportation, and surveillance. I know this sounds extreme, but this is equivalent to how it was back then. We always made sure someone traveled with our women. We always made sure somebody traveled and protected the youth. There were your wicked men. There were your wicked individuals. I'm not saying that does not happen. I know that happens. But we should do our best to still implement these things. And that's my take on that. What is y'all thoughts? I know more than who got something to say. What is your thoughts on that portion of what I'm trying to bring out? More specifically, the examples that I brought out as far as the Tanakh and Africa.
A lot of people don't want to touch those numbers, right? For a couple of reasons. Once again, one, the men have to take responsibility for our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to do that. I don't know why we don't want to do it. Maybe it's because we're not being appreciated, which is a different topic. It could be because of the rebellion. As you said, some of our sisters love the freedom. They don't want to have to answer to anybody. They want to be able to go wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do until, as you said, somebody holler at you at the gas station and they won't leave you alone now. Or they following you through the store and so on and so forth. It's like, well, now you wanted that companionship that we were trying to give you from the beginning. And as far as those who are, the family knows who to keep the children away from. Most families know who's the uncle, who's the aunt, who's the grandmother, who's the grandfather, who's the father or the mother who's doing things to our children. The problem is, why haven't they been put in the ground yet? See, according to our Torah or our cultural instructions, those type of people don't make it to see their next birthday. And we just don't have that in us. We don't even have it in us to kick him out the house. We don't even have it in us to not allow them to come to any more family functions. Like, we're okay with our children being traumatized. We're okay with our women being abused. We're okay with our women being mistreated. We're okay with our men being assaulted even when they're younger. We are okay with these things. And we can't say that we're not okay because we haven't placed anything in place in order to stop it. 70 to 90% of women being accompanied by a male is vitally important. That means that you actually care about the women in your community. That means that you actually want to see them get to wherever they're going safely. for the men that on the women's side, y'all have to understand, and you guys have to, you women have to be able to discern if a man is really there to just make sure that you get to your car. It's late outside, sis. What you doing out here by yourself? Let me just walk you to your car. I don't want your number. I don't want none of that. Let me just get you to your car, shawty, and I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. But it's dark out here. We need women who have wisdom, and we need men who are actually gonna step up and do what it is that we need to do. Is saddening. Well, it saddens me, because that ain't a word. I'm talking like Nasik. It does sadden me that for some reason we just don't want to get it together. Like, we were in the wilderness, right? So for those who understand scripture, we were only supposed to be in the wilderness for 2 years. The Most High was putting together an entire nation, laws, the priesthood, all of that within a 2-year span. And that's because Moshe had to be on the mount. They had to look. We are in quote unquote 2024. It shouldn't take us 2 years in order to get the nation back together. It wouldn't take us 2 years. Moshe already been to the mount. We already got the book. People got it. You can read it in Hebrew, Greek, English, whatever language you want to read it in. We already have the instructions on what it is that we're supposed to do and how to move correctly. And if it's not going to be a 40 million quote unquote blacks in America, it doesn't have to be. Can we just get 1 million to do it right? Can we get 1 million brothers and sisters to just walk it out correctly? If we do that, then I mean, everybody else gonna have to fall in line, or just like the Most High did when we were in the wilderness, he'll put some people in the ground. He'll send serpents for others, the sword, the pestilence, and the famine against everybody else. But those who are doing the ways of the Most High, we will be protected. But we just don't want to do it. And we don't have to go to Africa or anywhere else to do it. We can do it right here, right now. I yield it on.
Told I. I'm going to pass the mic, but I do want to make it be known that saddening is, you can use that in a sentence, so you wasn't like wrong while you was throwing your little shot. More, But anyone else have anything to say to what I brought out with this question right here? Are we protecting our community today in a way that we understood it back then, or have we adopted the ways of the nation? So I was trying to make that, that comparison as to the adoption. Like, are we doing what we did back then? Any thoughts?
Anybody? I'm just playing.
Feel free to comment on anything else, or the saddening. You could comment on the saddening.
So I did want to, kind of land back off what you brought out, Nasik, because I do think that it is important as far as travel. So I knew this was about to come because I'm finna get cut up. If y'all know me, y'all know I travel everywhere. I'm to and fro. I'm here, I'm there. I'm with my babies all the time, and we are traveling. Like, we travel a lot. And this has cut me because it is difficult, because you did mention a thing about people wanting their freedom, and women, let me not say people, women wanting their freedom. And I have seen that. I've seen that in a lot of cases. I've seen that in a lot of cases, even in discussing things with my sisters. They're like, I don't want nobody to tell me what to do. I don't even want to be in a relationship because I don't want somebody to say, I just want to do what I want to do. That's cool. I'm not here to judge nobody. That's not where I stand. So for me, the issue that I've had being a single woman, being a single mother of 2 young Yaladim, and still needing to travel for the purpose of fulfilling my purpose in the kingdom, right, is that it's hard to have any brothers follow me, or not follow me, but what's the word I'm looking for? Chaperone me, right?
Escort you.
If I'm going to be going, like if I, for example, I'm in Detroit right now. Who's gonna chaperone me to Detroit, right? Now I do have people that are covering me here. Everywhere I go, I have covering, right? When I land, when I touch base, I'm not just there out in the open. However, in the actual process of traveling, it's very difficult to find anybody that not only is willing to do that, but has the capacity to be able to do that. Because at the end of the day, also, I do have to travel for work to provide for my children and I, because I do not get a lot of help. So that would mean that if I were to, which I don't have a problem with, I can sit down somewhere now. I don't have a problem with that. But if I were to sit down somewhere, I would need to make sure that we are provided for. So in that same sense, it's like it would have to be brothers of the community that would have to like pull together to pay for me and my children, to provide for us, so that we could sit down, so that we could receive those that chaperoning, or that, hey, don't go anywhere without one of us, because I really wouldn't need to if I were already provided for. I wouldn't need to. If I had to go to the store, like how we do on the land, we would go together as a group. I'd go with my sister Nasika, with Princess. We'd be moving as a unit. But that's not necessarily afforded to us. But it's also not afforded to us because, like you said, we're going after the ways of the nation. There are so many things that are taking place and that come into play with a situation like mine in particular, that it makes it difficult to be able to do that, because now I do have to take on that masculine role of provision. But it's like, okay, who gonna drive with me while I go to Instacart? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna ride with me for 8 hours? Is that a realistic thing that another man who has a family is going to do? So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we're trying to figure out, women like me, I'll speak for myself, and women like me are trying to figure out how to maneuver in a proper fashion to still be protected, but also to still, I guess, do the things that we have to now do because of our communities being so broken, and wrong choices, and choices in the covenant that was like brought up. All of those things have played a factor, and all of those things take a toll. So it's like, and even when we say that, like, we say, yeah, these men not even supposed to be here, but that's very, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but that's very to me, because of my situation, it's like, okay, well, there's an opportunity. But we don't have the capacity to do that. We just don't have it right now. We're not solidified. We're not in the position to do that. And then we are, in a foreign land, and there are certain consequences that would come with if we tried to bring it back to the way that we used to do things, because now we are under a certain system that we really can't do that with. So, there are a lot of things that come into play, I think, with that. But I do agree 100%. I do think that women should be bodyguarded. We should be protected by all means. And not just saying that, men shouldn't, but in recognizing and respecting your role as men, it would behoove me to submit myself and allow myself to be protected in that manner, to keep myself and my children safe. We're talking about protection. It comes a time where you just got to sit down and be protected. Let yourself be protected. So say who?
No, more that I'm about to say something right now. I ain't gonna do it to you. I ain't gonna cut nobody. I will say this. This was not to make any woman feel any type of way. The purpose of us speaking on this level, on these topics, is for us to figure out a way to shift back in that space. And a lot of times that the only way to shift back into that space is to make that decision to do it. More Daoud, I need you to stop smirking. is to make the decision to do it. Or if you're in a situation to where you can't right now, put yourself in a situation to where your children will be. You know, build those relationships with communities, build with like-minded individuals that understand the concept of how we actually were supposed to be moving, because now we're not moving in that way. And now you and other people alike, all of us are going through this situation that we shouldn't be going through. But I'm not going to say what I want to say. I'm not going to say what I want to say.
Why? Say it.
Because it was all the most I could do it, but now I can't do it. I can't. No, we can do it. I just want to put that out there. We can do it. We can do it. I just think that we have to make that decision to do it. And the Most High puts things in our face, to where it might allow that to take place, But anyway, I'm gonna pass the mic to someone else that may want to go. Does T or Mora?
No, you good? Ako, Amona, you good? No. You guys are just so sweet. I just love you guys. No. I was gonna say something probably, I shouldn't have said. I shouldn't say, like.
Let you go say it.
Some of y'all make us want to let y'all walk in a dark alley by yourself, but anyway, that's just reality of it. It'd be like, look, you go ahead, go ahead. No, it was something you just said that you can't do it. What is your goal? Like, what is the goal of your? Not of your life as far as like, career or anything like that. Where do you want your family to be once you are done? Is it the way that it is? Is it going further toward the nations, or is it going towards the Creator? And you don't have to say anything. The way that you're moving is going to show us where you want to be at the end of your life. Where do you want your family to be at the end of your life? You can't say that we need this, we need communities, we need culture, we need blah, blah, blah. We need all of this, but your lifestyle and your mentality are on the opposite side of the spectrum. We can't be, quote unquote, man of Israel, and we want to be like our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but we don't stand up right like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Even in their mistakes, they were falling forward. So it's like, if we want the Most High to redeem His children, we want the Most High to come back and give us the power and the resources necessary in order to clean up our communities and our nation, then we have to show Him that we want that to happen. And that may mean some of these leaders got to go. That may mean some of these elders got to go. That may mean some of our comfortability needs to go. Some of our perspectives need to go. So it's like the ways of the nations are numerous, right? There are many other ways, many other directions that we could take, but there's only one way that's going to get us out of what we're in, because we literally tried every other way. We've tried every other way, and it's not working. And now it seems as if everybody's giving up. The man's giving up protection. The woman's giving up submitting and being the wisdom in the house. The elders giving up leading the way and telling us where they messed up. The children, they don't care because they just having fun, not knowing that we leading them right off the cliff. If we don't get it right, I believe they said by the year 2050 that the average black house will have zero wealth.
Mm.
So that's in 25 years.
You,
So
you
but
more than you know when you had. You remember you put a notice out to everybody to fast. Um, listening to you talk right now, and listening to more Zakaria, and just listening to some of the stuff that my Isha said, more Khalilia, and just listening to how we hear our people speak, made me think of what you had when you put that notice out there. And the notice was us to fast for a certain amount of time. And it was this amount of people in the beginning, and it just started going down, going down, going down, going down until it was just you. Why am I using that as an example? We're able to do it. We're able, but we don't have the desire. I just want to, when I was listening to, I wanted to throw that and bring that to your remembrance with that. You know, we're able to do the things that we want. We give praise and honor to the Most High on the things that we give praise and honor to the Most High on. But when it's something that we don't truly want, we don't believe we can. And those people who were saying that we could, they're doing it down. Same thing happened when people went to Demona. It was a certain amount of people, I think like 400 people, then went down all the way to 100. But that's been the case with us forever. And every last one of us that's on this live right now, and those that watch back or those that we know of that read about, we read this and we just still don't do it. We're able to do it, y'all. We could accomplish everything we speaking on right now, but I don't know. Anything?
I want to add to what Mora Zakari was saying, and also because you were talking about desire. Um, it's not that we don't want to do it, especially as women, as you were talking about you being single. Your desire is for the Most High, which means while you're traveling, He's protecting you. And before you get to where you go, we already know you, Zakaria, you are calling people in that place. So you have the protection when you get there, and the Most High protects you there. We're talking about more so people who don't even have the desire to go that far. You get what I'm saying? So even having, brothers and sisters in other places where you can call them and say, hey, listen, I got to go out of town. I'm going to be in your town. Can you make sure that I'm safe while I'm there? Even having that is a good start to how we can protect each other. It's being able to be hospitable everywhere we are. There's literally Israelites everywhere. Why aren't we able to call them? Why aren't we able to say, hey, I'm going to be in your area, do you have lodging for me or anything of the sort? We're not even there. Yes, we do not have communities everywhere, but with the little that we have, I don't feel like we're even utilizing that to protect each other. We should be protecting each other there. I mean, I've been, uh, when we were in Virginia, everywhere we went together. If it wasn't Mora Daoud taking some sister this place or we're going this place, we were always together. If there needs to be a man that needs to stand in, Mora Daoud stood in. You know what I mean? So it should be that way everywhere you go. The children knew, oh, I can count on him. I need to go somewhere. Let me call on him. Or I can call on Ak Yosef or anybody of the sort. We were all together. I know that if I'm hungry and I need something, I can go to my sister's house. We're That is still a community. Even though we're not all in the same area, it's still a community. And I think that we still need to get into the mindset, the beginning stages of what a community looks like. At least that can be our start to making sure that we are our brother's keeper or our sister's keeper, and just little things. I don't think that I know we're talking about the big picture, but even the little things we're not even doing. If we start getting into the mindset of the little things, just caring for each other. It says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do we love ourselves enough to say, okay, yo, my sister's coming in town. Maybe I can offer this, or I can do this, or ooh, I have extra clothes. I see that she can't there's things that she can't buy to dress modestly. I have extra, so I can do that. I think we need to start getting into the mindset of just being mindful of the small things or where we used to be. Like I love to give things to people because I remember where I used to be. And where I used to be, there was someone always giving me things. Like people come and they be like, you have a lot of shoes, a lot of clothes. But that was elders who gave me stuff. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have it in the beginning. So now when I do have more, it's like, oh, I can give it to this sister. Oh, this looks like her style. So we need to get into that mindset of really loving on each other and loving our neighbors just in little things. I digress.
Okay, powerful, powerful. I like that. I like the little things, starting off small, because a lot of us talking about getting the land back, but how do we do that when we don't have the structure that you all were speaking on now, the elders and stuff like that? How are we going to execute the laws that we put in place? Who's going to be governing these things if we can't govern ourselves before even having the land? So those small things, like you said, what you all are bringing out, I think is important. Excellent. Anything else, anyone? We're coming to a close. We're coming to a close. Man, y'all tired? Y'all tired? We tired today. Ooh, been a long work day. What'd you say, boy?
Yeah.
Dog?
Not
So,
time.
no, we ain't tired. We ain't tired. We here.
Testy, you got to do.
Everybody brought up some really good points. And I believe all of you just kind of brought out that nobody's situation is black and white. So there's really no one answer to solve everybody's problems, because we all know people that want better, but it's a lot of talking and talking. But at the end of the day, it's about the work. It's about who you're helping, whose life are you impacting, and I don't just mean verbally, but physically, financially, or just in the servitude way. Who are you there for? Because we all want that bigger picture, but like you say, if we don't even know how to love each other, why should we have somebody escorting us to different places? Why should we go places together and we have sisters who are jealous of each other, or brothers who don't know how to listen to each other for correction? We're just going to create a big mess. So I definitely think it's a lot of work that has to be put in for the bigger picture that we all desire. We all desire our men and women to be protected, but truth of the matter is, it's too much pride for us to even do that right now. Like right now, we want to do it, but get all of us in a room and you got different people. Well, this is right. Well, no, that's wrong. This is right. So it's the little things first. But I believe we're definitely on the right track. We're on the right track. It's so many things. Like say, we got to tackle the small things. And this comes up with like more Zakaria, who shared her situation. She has 2 babies. Like we don't even know how to co-parent. You all, it's hard for that to happen. So that means if there's terrible co-parenting, that means the children are in between. What the heck is going on? So we want community, but the children have to see examples, and that's kind of a hard place for them right now. So I'm just saying we have a lot of work to put in. So yeah, more work, less talk. Zehu.
Okay. In addition to that, though, we do have, this is called Love and Balance Talk Sessions. So we have to talk so that those that are not living what we're believing could help, can hear it and hopefully take heed to it. These are just things to help. You know, the ultimate goals, like more, because Kayelia said, Kayelia has said that we're talking about the bigger picture, but like what more Zakaria was bringing out, I put in my book, My Life Lessons Before Life Happens. That's a shameless plug. That if you're not a part of a community, at least communicating when you're, he got the book. Can you bring it up? How you got the book right next to you, boy? I see it's blurry though. They can't see it. Though. They gotta be okay.
It's somewhere in there. You see it? It's somewhere.
I talked about if you're not a part of a community, if you're not able to do the things that we were speaking on now, having someone, take you somewhere, or being around multiple women, or a man being present with the multiple women, at least call. Stay in communication so somebody know where you at. Hey, I'm in this city. Hey, I'm in this city now. Hey, more Zakaria do that all the time. The goal is to see the bigger picture. You want to see the bigger picture, then from there, start breaking down the intricate details as how to get to the bigger picture, right? That's the whole point of Love and Balance Talk Sessions. We appreciate you all that tuned in. Make sure that you like, Make sure that you subscribe and share. Please send us some topics you may want us to talk about. You could go on the group, the Facebook group is Love and Balance Talk Sessions, and we will tackle it. Phenomenal panel as always. Is there anything you all want to say before we let everyone leave? Let everyone go? Nothing. Okay.
The Most High is our ultimate protection. He's given us everything that we need in the instructions that were given. I don't think that. I was talking to a brother today, right? Aaron, and it's like it was. The Most High never said it would be easy, but He also said it's not too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, yes, we most definitely do have to start somewhere, but you actually have to continue. People start diets every day.
Yes.
People start workout plans every day. I can't tell you how many times I've been to Nasik Shema or Mori Ethon's Hebrew lessons. I try to learn Hebrew almost every year. I start over. You know why?
Yeah.
Because we lack consistency. We live in a microwave society where everything has to be done so quickly. Everything has to be, I meet you one day, next week, Shawty, we should be in love. And in a month, you should be married. And in 2 months, you should be barefoot and pregnant in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we do relationships, which is why 6 months from now, you two don't even talk no more. Microwaves kill all the nutrients in your food, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a microwave society, then isn't that going to kill everything that we're actually desiring to intake into our spirit and into our mental and into our physical? So because we want everything so fast, it's like, man, look, it ain't moving fast enough. But in all actuality, it just takes bit by bit. For those who read Torah portions, right, I believe we're in the second portion of our forefather Abraham. He's just now getting the seed that was promised 25 years. It takes 25 years for his promise. But he had so many other things that he had to go through in order to go get it. But he never stopped walking to himself. Lek lekah, right? He never stopped. So why do we keep stopping when it comes to progression? We have so many unity Shabbats, but in all actuality, that's just to see who fringes hang longer and who got a new garment this year that they didn't have last year, because there's no unity being produced from these quote unquote unity Shabbats. There's nothing going on within our community. Okay. They hook up and then all of a sudden they unhook next week. Then you got these people who, you know, some people proclaim that intercourse is marriage, but then there's nothing that connects you. There's no covenant. There's no agreement. There's no you and that other person being a cod. So y'all gonna fall out. And more than likely, y'all gonna create a child just because, and what should be a gift now turns into a punishment. Because now you two have to see the impact of y'all foolishness on that child. It is There's so much that we could talk about and that we actually need to talk about, but we need to come to the table. Where are the leaders at? Right? I believe in the 60s you had Michael King, commonly known as Martin, Malcolm X. You had Mega Evers. You had all of these powerful voices come to the table together. Where are these so-called leaders, and where's the table that y'all coming to? All these people with these titles. Not saying y'all, Nasik and Nasik, I love y'all, but
you just said Nasik and Nasik, by the way. You got a title too, by the way.
No, mine just says Daoud Aking. You don't see that right there? Mine just says Daoud Aking. I purposely don't put no title because I'm just gonna walk it out. And there are some who have titles who just walk it out. But there are a lot of people with titles who shouldn't have one. Because with that title comes the responsibility to build and to grow and develop your community. And a lot of y'all are not doing it. Y'all just want a title so we can see y'all on Shabbat. We got 6 days of work. And the work is supposed to be done inside of the community. And for some reason, it's not being done. So eventually, some of y'all got to go. Like Kevin Hart said, he was like, why you kick her off the bed? He was like, well, we took a vote. And somebody had to go. And he's kicked her off the bed. That's what's going to happen to a couple of y'all leaders. Some of y'all got to get kicked off the bed. Some of y'all got to get thrown off the boat. And we hope y'all have a Jonah moment. But until that happens, look, we can't deal with y'all. It needs to be an overhaul. But I digress. Let me get off my soapbox because y'all goofy. A lot of y'all leaders are goofy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on mute.
We're taking a collection plate for the sermon, for the amazing sermon that Moreh Daoud Akeem gave us. Phenomenal, of course, man. We had to let you bring it out, man. I'm gonna read this really quickly. We have Adon Akeem says, Khan, where are the leaders?
Shalom Akeem, by the way. I'm sorry. Shalom Akeem. He's a great artist, by the way. Now see, I was supposed to shout him out when I started speaking, but since you brought up his Shalom Akeem, go ahead, Akeem. I'm sorry, Nasi.
Excuse me. Hold on. I don't know if y'all saw when he first came on, but he said who he came on for. So please, that's my brother. Okay, so let's just get that corrected.
I don't see that in any of the comments. Maybe we got.
Okay, I'll show you. I got receipts.
Okay.
No, I saw the comment. You
did. You did.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
He said I'm only here for he does.
Oh. If that's the case, then I take back everything nice I just said about you.
He did say something along those lines, though. He did say something close to that. I got to scroll up. Can I read this comment, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So people trying to go. Some of y'all trying to go see that Mike Tyson fight. Let me read this. Khan, where are the leaders? And those of us who are trying to build communities, it's even more difficult because there's a lack of leadership and people are refusing to come together on one accord because they want to be in charge of something. And if they can't be in charge, they don't want to build unless it's something that they started, but they lack the leadership to build anything. That's actually going to be one of the topics in the near future. Great stuff. Appreciate that. That's factual. That is factual. More Zakari, did you have anything to say to close out? Since he came only to check you out. I'll play.
Hallelujah. I do want to second that he is a great artist. He is a really, really good brother of mine. He and his family, his wife Ebony, they are literally family to me. They are the Yah parents of my Yaladim. So that's my bro. That's my big brother. So, well, actually, he's younger than me, so he's like my big little brother. But I want to say thank you because these discussions are extremely important. And if we're not communicating them, if we're not talking about them, if we're not coming together with these different perspectives and understandings, then we're not going to be able to figure out how to make these pieces of the puzzle work together. So we want to thank you, Nasik Rashi Shema and Nasika Amuna, for even bringing this platform to the light and enabling these conversations to be had, because they are so necessary. And as we've seen a lot of the comments today, and a lot of our family members and brothers and sisters that are commenting, you know, they agree that these are things that need to be brought out. These are things that we need to speak about. These are things that we don't speak about. We were able to bring out a lot today, a lot that usually gets swept under the rug, you know, under the carpet, and we just walk on top of it like ain't nothing going on. But these things need to be brought to light, because if we're really serious about this change, we have to effectively be in it. We have to effectively walk in it. And I think that this is bringing those things to the light so that we can walk in that. So, hallelujah. Satan.
All praises. Mariah, Kaelia, I don't know if you're still there. Did you have any closing words?
No.
More Dawood, you good? Any closing words?
Oh, I just, just want to say toda to both of you, mainly Nasika, for allowing us on the platform. And it's great to be with people. It's great to be with those who actually want to build, and regardless of the trials and tribulations that no one is immune to or from, we still attempt to overcome and do what it is that we got to do. So may the Most High bless or increase increase this platform, increase each and every one of our households, and of those who are really doing the work. And as the comment you just put up, doers of the word and not just hearers. So hallelujah.
Okay. Ishti, you have any closing words for us?
Tell everyone for listening in.
All right, you all. We appreciate you. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, and bring us more topics if you have any that you may want us to speak on. May the Most High bless and guard each and every one of you.
Steps that we must take if we want to see.
I see my people rising, no more stopping us. Helping niggas cross America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us.
The sake of us, the
I
sake
see
of
my
us.
people rising, no more stopping us. Couple billion niggas cross America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. No more feeling, telling me in beneath. What a beautiful moment and a sign.